Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the first two installments. In this third lesson, we are going to work on how to play the bridge to Let It Snow. And I'm going to start off by demonstrating that for you right now. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. That's the bridge. The first chord in the bridge is C major 7. And one of my favorite, what I'm calling fifth string shapes, meaning the shape with the root on the fifth string, is played like this. You put your first finger on the third fret of the fifth string, ring finger goes on the fifth fret of the fourth string, middle finger goes on the third fret of the third string, and then that pinky comes out and that goes on the fifth fret of the second string. So this is C major 7. Like every shape that I've shown you so far, it's a movable shape. C major 7, D major 7, and so on. And that's where this bridge begins, on C major 7. The next chord is going to be D minor 7. Now, some of you may know this minor shape as a bar. Same idea here. I'm going to bar the 5th fret, but I don't need all 6 strings, so I'm only going to go up to the 5th string. And then I'm going to play like an A minor shape behind it. I'm going to have my middle finger on the 6th fret, my pinky on the 7th fret, and my ring finger on the 7th fret. Now, because this is a D minor, to make it D minor 7, I'm just going to remove that pinky. And that's it. And beautiful chord. Lovely shape. Once again, a movable shape. If we move it up 2 frets, we have the next chord we need, which is E minor 7. Now, our next chord is E minor 7, which could be taking the same shape and moving it up. But for this arrangement, I'm going to play it a little bit differently. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my index finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. I'm going to put my middle finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, and my ring finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string. And because I'm playing fingerstyle, I can do this. I've got these 3, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th string with my fingers, and then my thumb is going to play the low open E. And that's a real nice E minor 7. But it's not a movable shape. This is the only place you can do this on the guitar. This E minor 7 here is movable. We started with our D minor 7 shape. We're going to move up. So here is E minor 7. So the way this is going to sequence is like this. C major 7, when we finally kiss, D minor 7, good night, to that E minor 7. Let's do that again. When we finally kiss, good night. Isn't that nice? The next chord is A7. And the way I like to play it, again, is using, much like this E minor 7 shape, using an open bass note. And the open bass note that we're going to use is the 5th string A. And I'm going to finger this A dominant 7 like so. I'm going to put my middle finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. I'm going to put my ring finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string, and my index finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string. And it's almost like a D shape, you know, your open D chord from here. Well, you can take that and move it up to here. And I'm going to play the open A string and these 3 notes, like so. So together we have, when we finally kiss goodnight. Isn't that a nice turnaround? And that's how that's done. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate D minor 7, going out G7. Let's talk about this G7 shape here. This is a real simple shape that I like to use a lot. There's a couple of ways to get there. One is to bar the 3rd fret and place your finger, middle finger, on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. And again, using the thumb and fingers technique, you're going to play the bass note and the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. Of course, you can always get there differently. Your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, your pinky on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 4th string, and then your index finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. Does this sound any different? No, it's the exact same way. It's just sometimes it's tough to get a bar with one finger, so you can always finger it this way. Let's put this into the context of the song now, shall we? When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. Nice. Another device that we like to use is what's called a turnaround. One could very easily just end the space between the two lines in the bridge like this. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight. It's doable, but frankly, it's boring. So what I like to do is a quick turnaround where we have a chord on every beat. And I'll do it like this. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight. And what that turnaround is, it's C major 7, D minor 7, and then moving it up 2 frets for the E minor 7, and back down. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight is pretty much the same thing. But if you really hold me tight. And in here we have the A7 again, but we're going to add a note to it, just one note. And adding that one note gives it a very complicated name. It's no longer just A7, it's now A7 sharp 5. Don't get intimidated by the big name. You're still only going to have 3 fingers on the guitar. And here's how we're going to get to A7 sharp 5. We're going to play the open A string with the pink thumb. I'm going to put my index finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string. I'm going to put my middle finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string, and I'm going to put my ring finger on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, and we're going to get this. Kind of nice. Now, if you bar the 5th fret halfway, then you can get A7 sharp 5, and then lift off that ring finger, and you're back to the A7. In the context of the song, it sounds like this. But if you really hold me tight. Nice. Then we go back to the D7, D minor 7. All the way home I'll be warm. This is C7. This G7 shape that we learned back here, where you bar and put your finger on the 3rd string. We're going to do the same thing up on the 8th fret. And then we're going to make this a C7 sharp 5 with just one finger. We're going to add to it by putting the ring finger on the 2nd string, 9th fret. And that brings us to the F. Let me play for you the whole bridge. Are you ready? When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying. You see how we get back to it? That is how you play the bridge to Let It Snow. I sure hope that you've enjoyed these lessons. This gives you the complete song. Stay tuned. I'm going to post some more lessons for other songs. You guys have been so nice asking me all these questions and sending me such encouraging emails, and I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful holiday.